and welcome to this session sponsored by the Design Development Division of AECT to review the proposal process and the review process for the convention in general, but particularly for our division. I am hoping both that you hear me and that you also see my PowerPoint on the screen. If someone could give me a thumbs up or just a quick note in the chat that that is the case, it looks like everything is okay. Thank you, Lisa. My goal is to go through this within, say, the next half hour or so. We'll be done and have everything wrapped up. So I'll go through the agenda quickly I've got here. If you have questions, feel free to add them in the chat, and we can get those addressed. And that there are other issues that you'd like to address as part of this session, you can add those to the chat as well. So our agenda today, we want to talk about the all academic system, which is important both for your proposals, to submit your proposals, as well as to register to review. We want to talk about what makes for a good proposal, and then we also want to talk about reviewer responsibilities. And maybe I'll start with this last item just a bit. We hope that everyone in the division, especially those who are submitting proposals, will volunteer to be a reviewer. It really is, that's the way this whole system works, is if we are all willing to review and critique and give positive, constructive feedback on the work of our colleagues. If you've never reviewed before, that's okay. We can help you be successful at that. If you're an experienced reviewer, if you're an experienced academic and think that maybe reviewing is something in your past, please reconsider. We really need your help. And we really need a good combination of both experienced academics, experienced reviewers, as well as new reviewers, including new graduate students, to fill our pipeline so that we can make sure that everyone who submits a proposal has it reviewed completely and fairly and has the chance to show off their work and get the best critiques of it that they can. To start though, so let me go into the all academic system. Registering as a reviewer. To be a reviewer, you do need to be a member of AECT. Now, you don't need to be a member of AECT yet to submit your proposal, but we do need you to at least get login credentials for the all academic system, and I'll show you that here in a minute. Patricia is saying that she cannot hear. If someone could just I'll put a message here in the chat. Yes, the session is being recorded. The session is being recorded, and it will be posted. We'll send out a note about where the session will be found when we get done and get everything finalized with the session. So back here to the all academic system, we do want to make sure that everyone does get login credentials for that system, and I'll show you the website here in a minute, or some screenshots for it, so that you can get a sense of how that you would register for the system. Like I said a moment ago, you don't need to have reviewed for us previously, but we do want to make sure that you're following the guidelines and the rubrics and are prepared to evaluate according to the criteria that are being laid out. You do not necessarily need to submit your proposal at the same time you register to be a reviewer. In fact, I would encourage everyone here today, just while we're talking about it and while you're thinking about it, take the time a few minutes after the session ends to at least register to be a reviewer. That way it's taken care of. You can check it off your list. You can have a clean conscience for the rest of your afternoon, that's taken care of, and then submit your proposals at any time that works with your schedule. Proposals will be due on February 17th, and I'll talk about those deadlines here in a few minutes. You can volunteer to review for as many divisions or groups as you like. Please be aware, though, that if you do commit to review for a division, you're certainly going to be asked to review for that division. So don't overcommit yourselves, and make sure that if you do volunteer for multiple divisions, that you have the capacity to review 2 or 3 or 4 proposals for each of those divisions. Is not necessarily going to be aware. We're not going to be aware necessarily between divisions if there's overlaps in reviewers, and so it's up to you to make sure that you're not over committing yourself. And sign up for a reviewer before the 17th of February. That's also the day that proposals are due, like I mentioned. If you go to the AECT website, this is what it currently looks like. The first banner rotating through is for the 2020 convention in Jacksonville. And if you click the button to learn more, that will take you to the call for proposals page. And this is what that looks like. Those of you who are familiar with AECT would recognize a similar format from years past. This proposal page has all the information in summary for the theme of this year's convention. It also describes the different sessions, session types, allows you to see if there's particular calls or emphases for the individual divisions. But what we're going to focus on in this call is the proposal submission system. So you can see with the arrow pointing to your left, one of the links, the third links there is proposal submission. And if you click that, it will take you to the All Academic website. Your username is your AECT membership number, and your password is your last name. If you cannot remember those things, use the instructions in that form to recover your login details. And when you log in, this is just a snippet of the screen that you'll see when you log in. It's quite a lengthy screen. It shows you if you have submissions in progress for proposals, or you've completed submissions. So if you scroll down to the bottom of that screen, after you log into the All Academic system, there will be something called Submitter Menu. And one of the items there is Volunteer to Review. So at least for this part of our conference call, this is the thing that we're interested in making sure that you look at. When you click Volunteer to Review, you're going to see a form. And this form is, there's a number of fields, obviously, to identify who you are, your affiliation. If you are a student, we want to make sure that you identify yourself as a student. And then a box where you can enter some of your qualifications, the kinds of things that you think that you are qualified to review. If you're a student, you can put your doctoral advisor in there, or your area of emphasis. All people could put their area of emphasis in there in the qualification section. It helps us make sure that we're assigning reviewers to areas where they have a particular sense of expertise or a particular talent or experience that will allow them to review certain kinds of proposals well. After you fill out the form, and there's a couple other fields after qualifications, at the bottom there will be an accept and continue. So make sure that you save your work by accepting what you've submitted and continue. And then you will see a list that looks like this, where it's got all of the divisions of AECT listed, or all of the different strands or special interest groups, and you can volunteer to be a reviewer for them. We're assuming, since you're part of our call today, that you are interested in reviewing for the Design Development division, so you can check that box. You'll notice on the form that there is a separate box to check for the Design and Development Showcase, and we'll talk about what exactly the showcase is in a minute. But if you are interested in volunteering for the showcase as a reviewer, you will need to check that box separately from the box for the Design and Development division. And again, after you choose all of the divisions or strands that you would like to review for, make sure that you accept your work and continue at the bottom of the page. You'll see then a screen confirming your choices. One last time, you will have the chance to either edit those choices if you want to make any changes, or accept and continue and move on. And then you will see a confirmation screen just verifying that the system has received your submissions. At this point, before we move into what makes for a good proposal, let me just pause and see, are there any questions about how to identify yourself as a reviewer for our division, for the other divisions that you might be interested in? If questions do come up along the way, please feel free to reach out to me. My email address will be available here at the last slide. I'll have my email address. You just to verbally say it as well, it's jason@byu.edu. Lisa Jones asks, is there a rubric for the reviewer? And yes, Lisa, we will review some of those rubrics towards the end of the presentation here when we talk about the actual review process. Any other questions about registering or identifying yourself as a reviewer? Okay, well, let's move into then what are we looking for in a proposal? And if you go to this website here, there's a little guide that's been put together about good AECT proposals. I'll walk through, there's 14 or 15 different points to consider. I'll walk through these one by one as part of the presentation, but you can refer to them at that URL there if you're interested in seeing the full list. First, the proposals, the individual proposals match the call for proposals and are matched the program initiatives and themes. So this year, the theme of the conference is toward culturally situated learning and design research. Culture is defined broadly, intentionally. Kathy, yes, let me just do that really quick. I'll paste that link into the chat for everyone. Culture is intentionally, whoops, that is the wrong thing. Sorry about that. That was the last email I just sent. There we go. Culture is intentionally defined broadly in our context. It could be a culture of a nation or a particular ethnic group. It could be cultures of organizations. It could be subcultures within a nation or a community. Consider, though, the context of your design and development work in light of this broad theme of culture in some sense. So strong proposals will match this overall theme of the conference in some fashion. Now, proposals that comply with the stated submission requirements are also much more likely to be accepted. So look over these carefully. Be aware of the length of the limits of various proposal types. Depending on the session type that you're proposing, there may be different length requirements, but also don't be so short that the reviewers don't have a good sense of what it is that you're trying to propose. Reviewers tend to infer that the properties of the proposal will be the properties of the presenter or presentation. This is basically a way of saying present the best self that you possibly can. Edit your proposals. Look for any typos or grammatical mistakes. Make sure the proposal is well organized. Demonstrate that you're familiar with your topic, that you can present and write about it and think about it in an organized and a thoughtful way. Strong proposals then have few errors and look polished and professional. Strong proposals have the potential to interest people. So this is a marketing job on your part. Consider what would appeal to people. Think about the practical applications of your proposal. Think about how you can get your audiences involved. Think about what about your idea. Think about the elevator pitch for your idea. If you had to describe this in the ride from the first floor to the 20th on an elevator, how could you get someone excited to hear more in that succinct amount of time? So consider how you can market yourself in your proposal. That strengthens the overall chances of reviewers responding favorably to it. Strong proposals are also well organized. Reviewers or other readers don't have to hunt around for essential information like what the purpose of your proposal is, what the practical applications are, what any findings of a research study may have been. So bad organization of good content, frankly, can lead to a rejected proposal. Make sure that you match your structure to the proposal type. So obviously, in this example on the screen, this is a research proposal. We know that there's a standard format for research proposals and presentations and papers, and we encourage you just to match those standard formats and make sure that reviewers can find the information that they're looking for as easily as possible. You can also consider using headers to organize your thoughts, use other organizers, topic sentences, clear topic sentences, or theme sentences, or directions to help readers find the salient information for your proposal. There is a correlation between our ability to communicate uh, in writing with proper English expression and grammar and our ability to do so orally. And we know that not every member of AECT is a native English speaker, and that's okay. We value the contributions from every one of our members of our AECT family, but it is important to make sure that you're giving reviewers the impression that you can be a good oral communicator. And the only way that they're going to be able to have to judge that is based on your written presentation. So if English is not your first language, and for many of us, even if English is our first language, use proper English expression and grammar. Get a colleague or a proofreader to help you edit, proofread, and copy edit your proposal so that it reflects the content of the proposal you're trying to share. Proposals should seek to make a contribution. We're not looking for we're not looking for Einstein's theory of relativity in the proposals. So don't misunderstand what we're asking here. We want to make sure that proposals are building off prior research or have some kind of connection to the history of what's happened in this particular area. But we are looking for something that's original and significant and meaningful, something that has a unique twist. We aren't necessarily looking for another replication of the same applications of technology that have become commonplace in the field. Consider how your work, even if it isn't an established area, what's the unique angle you're offering or the new contribution to knowledge that you are advancing, the new claims that you're advancing that can help people get excited about your research and see a contribution that you can make to the work that they're engaged in. Proposals are well informed. Good proposals are well informed. You should indicate that you have a grounding in the topic in which you're presenting. We're not necessarily looking for a detailed literature review. We want to make sure that the bulk of your proposal is spent describing your contribution. But if you're making claims, back those claims up. If you're referring to established trends in the literature, make sure that you're referencing those in an academically accepted and an informed way. So there should be a good balance between presenting prior research and your own contributions, but show us that you know that you're grounded and that you're well informed about the topic. Strong proposals make clear what their objectives are, explicitly state what the purpose of your session or your panel or your proposal is, and consider carefully that you're submitting your proposals to the proper division. There's a number of similar strands within AECT, and certainly the conference organizers are aware that proposals can be transferred from section to section or from division into division, and they will make recommendations that perhaps certain proposals belong better in a different division from what they were submitted, but you don't want yours to slip through the cracks. So for our design and development proposals, we're looking for something that directly relates to the design and development of instruction. That doesn't mean everything has to be a practical presentation. We are looking for good, strong theoretical and research proposals, but again, that are related to the design and development of instruction in various environments. This would contrast to issues of pure technology development, for example. This would contrast to research into the nature of learning. Something related to the learning sciences perhaps might be more appropriate for something like the research and theory division. We recognize there are some natural overlaps. Certainly, there's a lot of overlap between the division of distance learning and the design development division and other divisions, but consider carefully where you want to submit your proposal. Be explicit in your presentation about the types of activities that will occur in the session. So a couple of examples. We'll engage audience in discussion of possible applications. We'll debate the pros and cons of each approach. Again, this is just another opportunity to give proposal readers the best chance of judging accurately what you plan to do. Research studies that are in progress are less likely to be accepted. What we're looking for here is we want to know that by the time the convention rolls around, you really will have substantive findings to share. So if your study is not complete, in the sense that you haven't completed all your data analysis or your discussion, or the paper is still in progress that you're writing about your research, there may be an argument that that can be accepted. But if you're in the early stages of your proposal, early stages of your research, you just have the idea, you're beginning your data collection, it may not be the right year to submit the proposal. Save it for a future year when you have something that you can talk about a little more concretely, and that you can verify that you will have findings that are going to be substantive to the AECT community by the time the proposal, or by the time the convention rolls around in the fall. There are a number of presentation types for the convention. Concurrent sessions, panel sessions, poster sessions, roundtables, those are things you may be familiar with. The AECT website has good descriptions on the conference page of these different session types and what they are. Don't feel like if your idea is not appropriate for a concurrent session that you have to submit it to a concurrent session just because it's a presentation. Many ideas are very appropriate to communicate through posters and roundtables, and we want to make sure that, again, that if your idea is best communicated through one of these other session types, that you are using those appropriately. Now, the list on your screen here is a complete list that the AECT website has. The ones in bold are ones that are particularly associated with the Design Development Division. Let me just point out there's a difference between the Design Development Showcase and the Emerging Technologies Showcase. The Design Development Showcase, if you submit a proposal to that, we are looking for completed technology products, completed technology, applications of technology in some kind of educational environment. So we're going to want to understand the purpose, the rationale, the audience. We want this to be developed so that you can show it off in the convention, that you're not just going to be talking about a theoretical idea, but you can actually show off this application of technology. And then that differs from the Emerging Technology Showcase, which focuses on the unique technologies themselves and just exploring their possibilities and potentials without necessarily having a direct and immediate application to a unique and defined educational problem. The final principle is that deadlines matter. February 17th, here just a few weeks away, at 11:59 Eastern time is when the proposals are being closed. The plan is to offer no extensions at this time for that proposal deadline. So please make sure that you're carving out the time that you need to sufficiently so that you can meet the deadline and make sure that your proposal is in on time. Are there any questions quickly or things that people would like some clarification on with any of those principles for good proposals? We have one more item on our agenda. So I'll move into that quickly. If there are questions that come in, we can address those then in the last couple of minutes. There are review criteria that are associated with each presentation type. Generally, in the Design Development Division, we have practice proposals, research proposals of some kind, and then theory or conceptual proposals. You'll see the evaluation criteria for practice proposals here. Generally, the rubrics are given in kind of these three columns with various levels of quality at each stage, at each level of the evaluative criteria. So we want to know, is this a clear proposal? Is this relevant? Is it suitable for the division? And then the quality of the intervention, the practice proposal itself, and the format in which it is written and prepared. What are the quality of those? What are the different, excuse me, let me back up a little bit. We just want to know, we want reviewers to think carefully about, is this low, medium, or high quality in each of these various areas that you can see outlined here on the screen. Barbara, if you're not sure what group to send a proposal to, you can contact the conference organizer for that division. Just describe briefly what you're proposing and get their advice on which division might be appropriate to send it to. Review criteria for research proposals. Again, we want to know, is it clear? Is it relevant? Is it suitable for the division? Is the session's content described in a quality manner, and does it adhere to the formatting requirements for research proposals? And again, reviewers will judge this low, medium, and high levels of quality in each of those levels of evaluation criteria. And then the review criteria for concept proposals, you'll see the theme here again. Obviously, there are different nuances depending on what's the quality, what defines a quality research study versus a quality theoretical framework. But in terms of the basic category, we want to know, is this clear? Is it relevant? Is it suitable? Is there scholarly support? Is the theory presented in a quality way? And then does the proposal adhere to the format for a research proposal, or excuse me, a theoretical proposal? So in this particular case, is there a rich description of the relationship between theory, practice, and research? Or is the relationship vague? Or is the relationship not mentioned at all? That would define a low, medium, and high. Your responsibility as a reviewer is to numerically score each proposal according to one of those rubrics, whether, again, the practice rubric, the research rubric, the theory conceptual rubric. And when people submit their proposals, they will identify which they think it aligns more closely with. Is this a practice proposal or a theoretical proposal, et cetera? So the right rubric will be applied. We also will ask you to provide written feedback to the presenters regarding their proposals. Make these constructive comments. Often you may feel the need to offer critical feedback on someone's proposal, but make sure that it's constructive. Don't just complain about what they're doing, but offer them some suggestions of how they could do it better and how they can strengthen their proposal. There will also be a text box where you can notify the program planner if you think that there's some private information that you would like to share with them, such as if it's fits better somewhere else, if this would make a better poster presentation than a concurrent session, for example, or if you think after reviewing it that it perhaps belongs better in a different division, you can offer some private comments to the conference planner for that division. If you have any questions, you can contact me particularly for the design development division. Again, my email address is on the screen at jason@byu.edu, or you can contact the conference planners for the other divisions, and those are listed on the AECT website under the individual division or strand call for proposals. In the last couple of minutes here, are there any last questions that people would like to ask or things they would like to request clarification on before we end our session? I'll stay on the Zoom chat for another minute or so if there are any questions that come in. Otherwise, I hope everyone enjoys their afternoon. We really look forward to seeing your proposals and look forward to seeing you in the convention in Jacksonville this fall. Thank you very much. Irene, yes, this is being recorded and it will be shared, and notification will go out to the D&D division about how to access that. The average number of reviews per person really depends, Laura, on the number of people who volunteer to review. Last year, it seems like I did 4 or 5 for the D&D division. I have done more than that before when there have not been as many people who volunteer to review. So really, let's just get the word out to get as many people to review as possible. I mean, if all the stars align, I would hope that everyone reviews 3 proposals on average, but that really depends on us getting a large number of reviewers. Rio, if you signed up to be a reviewer, you will be a reviewer. We really need your help, so thank you for that. Esther is asking about Inspire sessions. So maybe there are other ways to think about this. I think about Inspire sessions as almost like mini workshops. They're not 3 hours or 6 hours like the fee-based workshops are, but when you look at the description of Inspire sessions on the AECT website, they actually, to me, sound fairly familiar. In fact, I think I have that up. So let me just read what it says about Inspire sessions. They should focus on professional development opportunities for members and convention attendees, helping them develop some kind of new knowledge, skills, or strategies. Hands-on, role-playing, collaborative learning, game-based learning is all critical for Inspire sessions. So what we're looking for in the Inspire sessions is what can you do in 45 minutes to help people come away with an identified skill, something targeted, some new idea that they can immediately go back and apply. So that would distinguish it from concurrent sessions, which often are about presenting your new ideas or demonstrating the outcomes of your research or your practice in more of a detached, hands-off way, where you're just trying to convey the information in the concurrent session. In the Inspire session, we want it to do hands-on, or want you to be hands-on. Noah is asking, how does one get involved in helping with the showcase? I assume that's the design development showcase. Contact Victor Law, who's the coordinator for the design development showcase, and he can give you information about how to get involved. Lisa is asking topics on technology or distance learning in liberal arts. You may want to, and again, the details would matter here. It may fit well in the division of distance learning. They consider distance learning and topics of distance learning across all topic areas, particularly, well, just to clarify, there is a possible fit for the design development division if you're focusing more on the actual design of the distance learning environment. We may want to have a conversation offline, Lisa, and just see if there's some more specifics you can share. We can give a better direction of where to send it that way. It's 11:59 Eastern Standard Time, Rio, so that will be the East Coast. So really people on the West Coast, you're looking about 9 p.m. on the evening of the 17th is when your proposals will need to be turned in. Okay, so Rio saying the AECT page says 11:59 Pacific. We'll clarify. I will clarify that, and we'll make sure it's sent out in some final announcements from the D&D division. If the AECT page says Pacific Standard Time, there's some inconsistencies there because the page I'm looking at right now on the AECT website says Eastern Standard Time. So we'll get that clarified and make sure that's clear to everyone in the organization. Okay, if there are not any other questions, I'll go ahead and end the recording and then end the call.